Hey everybody, Ambakana here. First of all, thank you very much for registering for this webinar on how to create your very own automatic property acquisition machine. That shows you exactly how to develop profitable properties, even if you have never invested before or even if you have no experience in property development whatsoever. This webinar is dramatically different from others you might have been attending in the past because it is literally designed to be like a miniature condensed masterclass. Here's what we are going to learn today. You'll learn about the exact system I used to create over $1 million in equity and cash between 2013 and 2014 without having any prior experience in property investment and or development in Australia. It is my goal for you to leave this training fully aware to take the next steps with 100% precision. Furthermore, if you are already investing actively, you'll learn how to gain and maintain the edge in the property investment arena, irrespective of market ups and downs, market cycles, and stringent lending conditions as we are all experiencing now. You'll get a close look at the automatic property acquisition machine and how it can help you generate wealth via property. You'll discover each moving part of the property development system I used to go from newbie to successfully developing 7 projects worth a combined $35.9 million in just under 5 years, including one no money down deal that put $273,000 in my pocket. And I'm also going to share with you my top 3 property development secrets. So get your worksheets ready. We'll walk you through the webinar and you'll be able to answer all these questions that are in the worksheet. But before we go further, let me ask you a few more questions. Does this actually sound like you? You are looking to be financially free in the next 5 to 8 years, or you are an avid property investor and you want to take your skills and wealth to the next level, and you've spent or are spending your time and money going through one property seminar after another, sweating up a storm and spending a fortune. Or you want to cut short to your retirement and go straight for the results. Let me ask you another question. Have you ever thought about doing your own property development project? Or did you ever want to make money via property, but had no idea exactly where to begin, or you lack the confidence mainly because of lack of knowledge? Or have you been paying for all these expensive courses only to find out that they lack the complete information? Now, if you've answered yes to any of these questions, then I know exactly how you feel. So instead of you spending your next 5 years doing the same thing, I actually want to give you my best of the best property strategy that's industry standard and draws from my practical experience, my experience in the trenches, my expertise, my knowledge base that I have used not only to create the automatic property acquisition machine for myself, but also create the property development system that enabled me to execute projects behind the automatic property acquisition machine. Now I'm going to take out all the filler, all the fluff, and give you the essence, so you don't have to do all that hard work that I've already done. You get the right knowledge from the very beginning. Interested? Here's why this webinar is important for you now. First, most property investment strategies that you've been learning so far are dead wrong. You need to know the one strategy in the post-GFC world, in the post-APRA stringent lending conditions world, that you can master and you can execute. You need to understand how you can continue making cash and equity in any market condition, irrespective of what the market is doing. Market saturation, the problem is that there's a lot of market saturation with all the property development courses, and people have just become immune to property education. But you have to remember that the game has changed. This is the age of wisdom, not information. There is plenty of information available, and there are a lot of people giving this information out, but you got to be smarter and wiser in the way you actually use the information now. So what I'm going to do is quickly introduce you to myself before we go further. So I'm the creator of Property Development System. I'm known as the creator of Property Development System, and I'm also the co-founder of Maven Builders and Maven Developments. You can check me out on the website. And I'm just about 2 weeks away from launching my another website called PropertyMogul.net. When it is out and it's launched, you will get a notification. And this is my family. I've got a son and a daughter. My son's almost 16. My daughter is almost 10. I have a dog called Milo, and I have a beautiful wife that I'm very happy with. Yeah, but 5 years ago, I actually moved back to Australia from overseas, and I was desperate to make some money. And all I knew was that I had to do something in property. So like many of you, I paid for all these expensive courses, seminars, and hyped up promises and got nowhere. Needless to say, like many of you, I felt dejected, and now I could have quit, but nobody ever got rich by being a quitter. And somehow this quote from T.S. Eliot kept me going. Only those who risk going too far can find out how far they can go, and it is so true. So I made 3 decisions. Basically, first, I dedicated myself to learning everything there was about property investment and development. Second, I took action and calculated risk and jumped into one project after another. So it wasn't like I was jumping without looking. I was actually taking calculated risk, doing my due diligence, going over stuff again and again and again, and checking numbers again and again and again. And I basically resolved that it's not over until I win. In the past 5 years, I have been through the desert. Drank all my water, ate all my food, and then I also ate my camel as well. I've been in the trenches. I have literally been to every property seminar in Australia, whether it was cash flow positive or property options or lose your shirt in mining towns. Believe it or not, there was a seminar. There were not one seminar, there were many seminars like that, and I've been to them, especially when mining was booming. Renovate and sell, or vendor financing, or buy property with $1, or rent to buy, or replace your income with cash flow positive property, and property development, and real estate millionaires, and etc., etc., you name it. I've actually basically been to every one of them. I've studied almost every property strategy in detail, and I continue to do so via self-learning and constant professional development. I've spent numerous hours researching the internet, looking for that ultimate property investment strategy that not only made me equity, but something additional so I could make a living from it. I paid over $45,000 to 2 different property gurus for one-on-one mentoring, spent another $65,000 on various property courses, books, university textbooks, diplomas and certificates, and as well as a lot of online coaching. I even tried to find out if there were certain subjects that I could undertake at uni, because I wanted to do certain subjects, and those certain subjects were offered in masters of property and all of that. And I tried to find out if I could only do a handful of subjects, like there were 3 or 4 subjects. Those are the subjects that I haven't done, and I already have a master's in business, and most of the subjects were a repeat from that, and I only wanted to hone in on that. But unfortunately, the university didn't allow me, so I ended up buying all these textbooks to understand property like a nerd, basically. So the result is I now hold all these qualifications: the industry diploma in property development, masters in business administration, you name it, certificate 4, diploma in finance and mortgage broking, and REIV agents representative, and so on. And apart from holding all this all these qualifications, I've now completed projects worth over 35.9 million plus. And the thing is, you see, I wanted to buy a fruit-bearing apple tree, but it turns out that you can't buy a fully mature one. The only option you have is to buy a small one and grow it. Now, you could think big, but we all have no choice but to start small. And that's exactly what I did. I started small, and today, 5 years later, I can reap the apples of my labor. And today, I'm planting an orchard. I'm literally working on bigger and better projects. And I have created my APAM, my very own automatic property acquisition machine. And but to get me there, I actually needed a system. Now, before I get into all this system and everything, I wanted to establish certain house rules. First of all, I refuse to do anything that panders to get rich quick mentality. Although I have experienced the get rich quick moment, which was preceded by years of hard work and toil that I put in. So if you're looking for a do nothing, make a ton of cash, magical formulated wealth system, or if your guide to riches in the galaxy, or if you're looking for something like that, this is not a place for it. This is real world, real projects that provide real value for real people. I'm not run or controlled by a marketing company that calls the shots behind the scenes for me. And creating your APAM actually takes a lot of time and hard work. There are no fake experts. I only preach what I do every day at work in my construction and development company. I do not have a builder's license. but I co-own a construction company with a project manager and a licensed builder, where I own where my own money is actually on the line, and I manage and control my building contracts for all my developments. Used to be's make no honey. I have done and achieved everything in the post GFC world, and I continue to do so irrespective of the market. It's not like I did something once upon a time and now I teach. No, it's not like that. I teach in the evenings, and during the day I work like a dog to actually make sure that all my developments and all my projects land where they're supposed to land. In fact, I've actually signed 3 contracts with longer settlements to keep my pipeline full for the next year. Earlier I threw a very large number at you, something like 1 million plus. I think it should be fairly obvious, but I'll say it anyway. My results certainly aren't remotely typical. I have no idea what the average property developer makes, but it is my hope that everyone will have such results. In fact, I really hope that everyone will do better than what I've done, because you now have a system that you can follow without trying to create a system on your own. Some of my students who've been following the system are already kicking some great big goals. But the fact of the matter is that it is my unsubstantiated opinion that most people who buy any type of property education product do not make any money at all. And I believe that the same reason applies to the people who buy the treadmill and don't lose weight as the direct result of staring at their treadmill with their laundry drying over it. I know all this stuff is self-evident, but it is very, very important that I make it clear to you. So everyone who else is still with me, and I hope that it is the majority of the viewers today, let's go to work. So, automatic property acquisition machine. Let's see what it looks like and how it works. So basically, what is an APAM? So APAM is a portfolio of equity-rich investment properties that after a certain point operates like an automatic property acquisition machine, enabling a snowball effect to automatically acquire more investment properties by leveraging the income and equity from the existing portfolio. So, benefits of having an APAM. First of all, it gives you financial freedom. And financial freedom could actually be different for a lot of people, but for me, it's the ability to spend my time doing what I love without worrying about my expenses. It gives you scalability. No matter what your starting position is, you can scale it to the next level, and you have the flexibility to scale down when you feel you have achieved financial freedom. It gives you certainty for you and your family, but APAM on its own doesn't provide certainty. It comes from the system that's actually behind APAM. So there are 6 pillars of APAM, and I really need you to, if you've got your worksheets, note them down. The first one is, these 6 pillars are actually laws of APAM, and you must follow them. So the first one is basically, never risk all your money in one project. Always have a buffer. I never have all my eggs in one basket. It's the same thing. Always partner with somebody to do a project, even if you can afford to do the project on your own. Never ever do a project on your own unless you think that you are in your comfort zone. So everybody has a different level of comfort. Always do a project in partnership with somebody. All the projects that I've done, that I put together, whether it's no money, done deal, everything, I had other people in the project with me. Although in one of the projects I actually had everything invested, but I always made sure that there was a buffer for me if something went wrong. So never gamble with your last dollar, basically. So pillar number 2, mitigate project risk from the onset. So this whole industry is about managing, containing, and transferring risk. So we will get into these details later in the property development course, but I want you to understand this. Always mitigate risk in the project from the onset, and you do that in a systematic way. Pillar number 3, be able to continue doing projects irrespective of where the market is at. The whole system is designed so that you can continue doing projects one after another, even if irrespective of where the market is at. So pillar 4, generate enough equity from projects to acquire an unencumbered property every 2 to 3 years. Now this is very different to what a lot of property gurus teach. It is basically hold as much property as possible with as little money as possible and for as long as possible. I'm not in that boat, and my strategies are very different. So if you don't gel with that strategy, no problem at all the best to you. But my strategies are about creating unencumbered properties and having, and I don't sit and wait on them. So pillar 5, you borrow money only when it makes you money. That is, only have good debt. I never borrow money to go on a holiday. I never borrow money to buy Christmas presents. I never borrow money for vacations. I mean, I've already said that. I never borrow money to buy a new car. I borrow money for nothing, because in this industry I need to make sure that my serviceability is fully intact at all the time, so I don't have any kind of unnecessary debt. Pillar 6, create borrowing capacity irrespective of lending conditions like interest rates, stress rates, and other regulations imposed by lenders. That is, you get the banks to actually love you. Let's look at APAM in action on real properties that I've developed. This is a project, this is one of my first projects. It started off as a first project, but by the time it finished, I'd actually completed 3 other projects along the same time, because this was a big kahuna. It was like, people start with a duplex, I started with a 9 apartment building. So yeah, so there's no such thing as I can't do this because I haven't done that. No, I didn't do that. I went straight for the big project and didn't worry about developing a duplex. But that's just me, because I have developed all the systems and everything's in the background as well. So what does it look like? 9 apartments in Brisbane, project duration almost 3 years. My profit share in the project was about 284K. The total project profit was 569. I owned 50% of the project. Development margin was about 15.55%. We started off, when our feasibility started off somewhere around 19, but we hit a snag. There were some issues with the stormwater when hooking up with the legal point of discharge. So we lost a bit of money there because there were unforeseen latent expenses that no matter what we did, we couldn't do it. There was something that we had not known before. So as I said, it doesn't mean that it was a bad project. Even if I had known that this was going to happen, I would have still done the project, because if you look at the profit that came from the project, was fantastic, good enough for me. Project GRV was about 4.23 million, and I actually held one of the units there. The market value of the unit was maybe about 70 grand, and the cost of the developer was about 406 or something, about $80,000 profit per unit in that project. So what I'm trying to show you is that how each project flows into another project and how the equity works. So let's go down. This is a no money down project for me. This is 16 apartments in Fitzroy in Victoria. We didn't end up developing the project. Why? Because the project gave us 1.3 million even just by getting a permit. So you got to have different strategies. You got to know that if you get a good profit up front, you sell it off and you move on. It's because this is not your first and your last project that you're ever going to do. So it is all about turning over and keep churning out projects. So 16 apartments took about 2 years. My profit share was about 273. This is my no money down deal. I didn't put any money in this project. So the total project profit was about 1.3 mil. 79 One Turner Road, Ringwood. This wasn't, I didn't have any money in the project. I only got like a project management fee, and this was a project that me and my builder and my other project manager, we got together, and to get it off the ground, to get the construction company going. So the construction, we wouldn't get insurance, we wouldn't get enough insurance to be able to do the project. So we had to do a small 2-unit development and build it ourselves to get the construction company going. So I only made maybe 20,000 in the 4-month period then when we were actually building the project. So yeah, that was one of it. This is a 3-bedroom, 3 townhouse development, 3 4-bedders in Chelsea. And it was a 12-month project straight from signing the project and to actually building and handing it over. It was 12 months straight. I got the project with plans and permits, but the profit share was about 83,000 in the project. 70 Newington Parade, Chelsea, with 4 luxury townhouses again right next to the beach, and project duration was about 12 months again. This was supposed to be a JV with the landowner, but it didn't work out. The landowner decided to get the land value and move on. So yeah, the development margin was 11.75. Why? Because my interest costs were too much in this, because at the time I didn't quite have that kind of serviceability to show. So we had to go to a third-tier lender, and they are you've got to learn how to swim with the sharks and not get eaten by them. So we did a project with them, and that's why, because the interest costs were too high, the development margin fell down a bit. So this is 230 Station Street. This is 12 townhouses, and from 4 I jumped straight to a 12 townhouse project. And this project, I'm keeping one unit. Again, my profit share in that is about 230. It's the cost of property to me, it's about 584. Profit per unit is about 115. My share from the rest of the development is about 115 as well. And the market value is about 700, even at 70% LVR. I only need a deposit of 210, which is less than my, basically it's less than my money that I've got. So I have about 20,000 surplus left. So if I go this way, this is what I can do. But what I plan on doing is actually option 2 and combine this with one of my units in Brisbane and access more equity, which is about 819, that I can continue doing it. Again, going back to the pillars, that you got to make sure that you can keep doing more projects as you go along. So development margin on this project is about 19.7. The entire project is done, dusted, sold. So yeah, 4 into 3 bedroom townhouses. This is already in the pipeline, and the profit share, my profit share in the project is about 72. The development margin is about 16.41. This is an 8 apartment project, which we basically get a development management fee. This project is for an investor and another big mob that we are now doing projects with. So this is 8 apartments in Mordialloc. This is about to start construction in the next couple of months, and the development margin there is about 17.76%. Now, if you look at the entire APAM and see how we churned out projects, I turned over 40 million. This includes the 2 projects that are in the pipeline that are not completed as yet, and the total duration is 2013 to 2017, and that's almost 5 years. So because by the end of 2013 we would have almost built both of them as well. So total project profit is about 5.25. Total profit share in project 1 to 6 is about 1,031,000, and the total profit in the pipeline projects is about another 204k. So this is all set for the next year. I've acquired 2 properties in that, property 1, and these are the market values of it, so totals that. So if I wanted to go, and because of stringent lending conditions, I only got an LVR of 70%. I can still access 615,000 and put it towards my next project. Now, I want to give you 3 more property investment secrets that you need to know if you want to be a successful property developer. And if you understand and learn to command these 3 secrets, you will be unstoppable in this industry. So, but before I do, there's one more thing that I need you to know about. To bring your APAM to life, you need an execution process. And you need a repeatable, systematic, paint by number process that ensures your developments are successful. So that's exactly what the property development system is actually designed to do. So let's get into the property development system side of it, the thing that actually drives the automatic property acquisition machine. Now, it is the exact system I used to create over $1 million in equity and cash between 2013 and 2014 without having any prior experience in property investment and or development in Australia. Now, so what actually constitutes property development system? Now, I'm happy to share this with you, but I would really appreciate if you kept this confidential. Now, this system has actually made me millions, like literally, and here's what property development system looks like. The system starts from within you because if there is no enemy within, enemy outside can actually do you no harm. So it actually starts here at the ready, set, introspection. It's like going into your head, and we get into it later, but then it actually moves into the proprietary Delta method that drives the finance side of it, how you're going to get your finance, purchasing the development side, what's involved, what's going on with that, obtaining permits, marketing and pre-sales, construction, obtaining titles, becoming a deal maker, doing no money down deals, and finally that actually churns out it starts turning over your automatic property acquisition machine. So property development system is designed to give you certainty and clarity by giving you compelling evidence before you take the next step, which in turn gives you competence and the confidence to execute your own projects. And best of all, it is concise and to the point. There is no fluff in it. You should, and should you decide to take it to the next level and start doing no money down deals, it will give you the credibility you need for no money down deals. And credibility actually comes from trust, which requires two more C's, character and competence. And I've got no doubt that you already have the character, and I'm sure your investors who do the no money down deals with you will never question your character either. However, your no money down investors will question your competence. So ask yourself this: would you invest with someone who only has the character but no competence? So and you would need this in future. So let's look into property development system and what it all what's in it. So the first part is ready, set, introspection. Now it is all about asking yourself certain questions, and it's not about positive thinking. Trust me, it is not about positive thinking. I'm very I do think positive. I do manifest a lot of positive things in my life and everything. But when it comes to property development, mate, I'm just straight on numbers guy. Numbers, due diligence, checklist, bang, did I do this? Did I do this? Once again. My consultants sometimes get sick of me because I ask them the same question again. Would this work? Would this work? Would this work? Would this work? And it's because I'm going through these checklists again and again and again to make sure that as soon as I move forward to the next step, I'm doing that. But this introspection is all about rewiring your brain. I'll give you an example. Let's say you've got a fear of public speaking and you would rather jump in a tank full of crickets or cockroaches than go on stage. But what if I showed you some research that could help you simply rewire your brain? It's like you do an exercise, and after that, you don't even think about that the thing that used to scare you in the first place. So the next time you're on stage, you present with confidence and have no fear whatsoever. It's just like suddenly someone has literally taken and unplugged the wires from one compartment of your brain and then hooked it up back into another compartment of your brain. So this is learning to look at projects based on their potential rather than your pocket, and put it together without risking your own money. So this is how it actually relates to property development. It's about looking at project based on their potential rather than your financial capacity without you risking your savings. It's that simple as that. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. It's a saying by Wayne Dyer, and it just changes everything. So when I now approach a project, I'm actually not looking at whether or not I can afford it. I'm looking at it from the point of view of how can I put it together, because I know the rules of the game. So Delta method. This is a process of logical deductions that I put it together, and I like to call it the Delta method because there are three important things that you got to understand. One is pre-selection, the other one is due diligence, and the third one is feasibility. And we discover exactly what constitutes a lucrative project, where to look for such projects, and why. Everything is done by a process of logical deductions, by logically eliminating and minimizing risk from the moment you sit in front of your computer. So pre-selection, where do I begin? How do I do your due diligence? Understand what the property economics say to you. You understand how the market cycles and clocks are working. You listen for all these signals. I show you how to do that. Understanding statistics, understanding capital growth, identifying capital growth suburbs, understanding how demographics work, validating all these signals that you hear. And you'll be hearing signals, and I'll show you how to. They're actually literally, they're like signals. And you can hear them, and then you can validate them with your research, and creating all sorts of, leveraging all sorts of technology to understand. Now, wouldn't understanding and really sinking your teeth into these 10 things of pre-selection mitigate risk exponentially? Because you've gone through and ticked every box to move to the next step. Financial feasibility is all about numbers. It's about important concepts. And don't worry, if you're not a numbers guy, you don't have to worry about it. It's all done for you kind of way. So you just have to understand where to get this information and which cell to actually put it in. So I'm not going to dive too much into it. Due diligence is all about determining highest best possible use, understanding the location, understanding the site, understanding zoning, overlays, data collection analysis, doing a spatial analysis, doing 2-minute phasers on them, and you do understand how the drawings, what are the drawings telling you, what is the due diligence checklist, and managing your risk basically. So and determining highest best possible use is understanding the footprints, and so on. When it comes to location analysis, there are three musts that I want you to take away today. Even if you don't do anything in future, if you are into the property industry, you will understand this. You got to look for capital growth, instant equity, and cash flow or passive income anytime you are analyzing a location. And I basically stick to the mainstream suburbs, close to shopping centers, schools, public transport. I don't go and buy property in Whoop Whoopville. This helps me with better valuation. It retains its value better. And I know that if someday, there was some adversity or whatever, a key location site will always perform better and will move quicker and so on. So there are a lot of different benefits to this, and I really want you to understand them as we go along. So due diligence is all about, as I said, about all of these. Data collection is all about what's for sale there, what's for rent, what's sold, what's in the development pipeline, and I'll teach you how to gather all this information from free and paid resources. And then you visually analyze all this data, and you analyze site plans and permits and so on. So understanding development finance is all about two things. First, development finance, what are the banks looking for? How does commercial finance works and different stages, types of loans, different checklists that you got to have. Valuations is all about why getting a favorable valuation is important. You got to understand this because all your finance is contingent upon it. So, and there were different methods that they use, and you come up with different things like residual value of land and project-related site value and so on. So all this is for you to take away. And even if you didn't do anything, you would still be able to understand, okay, I've got to have a good valuation in order to do this. And if you understand how finance and everything works, it just gets easier and easier. You just follow steps. Okay, I've got to do this, got to do this, got to do this, and you tick them off. Purchasing the development side, you got to understand different financial structures. I go over them, but eventually you got to go and check it out with your accountant basically. So and purchasing the development side, there's a lot of negotiation involved in that, and you don't want to leave any money on the table basically. And I'll give you a very good example. I'll give you proof from my Negotiate for Advantage negotiation system that I put together as we go forward within this webinar. So just hang tight because I'm going to show you some proof from my Negotiate for Advantage thing. Obtaining permits, you find out exactly what you can optimize the design, what kind of product fit, get through understanding of which consultants to use and when, discover everything that you need to do. So see, all this knowledge is required. Now I can dive deep and bore you and bog you down with all of this, but once you understand all of this, it just becomes second nature to you. So it's got consultant reports, permits, different kinds of approvals, and so on. Marketing and pre-sales. Marketing has changed a lot, and just having an agent is not enough anymore because you got to leverage the technology, you got to leverage a lot of other things with it, and what kind of strategies would suit various developments, and so on. So it's got different sections in it that I explain in that. Construction, you find out exactly the type of construction contract that you need to gain an edge over the builder and protect your backside. You got to optimize and expedite your tendering process because it takes a while for builders to actually get back to you. So I'll teach you how to do all of that. Learn the must-have conditions in your construction contract. And construction module is very extensive in the sense that it's got all sorts of contracts and everything that you need to understand. Obtaining titles, you got to understand when to have titles ready. So that there are no delays, because any delay at the end of the project means it's hitting your back pocket every day. So it's basically about preliminary plan of subdivision and having all these things ready. Now again, I'll put them in there, but I really don't want you to get bogged down with all of that. So part 9 about in the property development system is all about putting together no money down deals. And no money down deals, imagine it's like my first project was when all my money went into one project. Although I say don't do that, but that was my first project, and it's going back in 2013. all my money did go into one project, and then I was thinking, what I do now? So I had to put all these no money down deals together, and put all these projects together, because my skill was finding and executing projects. And if you have that capacity, if you have that skill, you'll find investors every day of the week, because there are more people with money than there are people who know what to do with it. So becoming a deal maker, it's got some strategies. It's about creating sweat equity. It's about doing JVs and so on. So creating your own APAM, this whole thing actually depends upon what are your goals and what are the outcomes that you're gunning for. What strategies are you going to use, and what is the investing approach you're going to be? Are you going to do no money down deals in it, or are you going to develop and sell, or develop or hold, or how are you going to create your very own automatic property acquisition machine? So if you look at APAM in its entirety, the way it worked for me, and it'll be different for you because your numbers would be different, your projects would be different, but in a nutshell, the underlying principle is that you start generating enough cash and equity in your projects so that your properties are not heavily in debt, basically. So you don't have a lot of debt on your properties, and you drive each project from one to another and one to another, and you keep going to be able to create all of that. So that's basically 890,000 in equity plus 212 in cash. That gives me almost $1 million. This is across 6 projects, including Project 7 and Project 8 between 2013 and 2017. Plus I'm on track to execute Project 7 and 8, and I have just signed 3 contracts with longer settlement to fill my pipeline for next year. So my APAM underpinned by my property development system allowed me to make money as a property developer. And yes, this was all done post GFC from 2013 onwards. I'm sorry, my throat's drying up here, so I'm just taking a sip of my coffee. And yes, I recently bought a Mercedes GLS as well. And as I said, I don't take any debt, so this was a cash down purchase. So the APAM and PDS helps me live my life by design, and a lot of students have already worked with me, and they are getting all these results, and you can check them out on the YouTube channel if you wanted to. But I wanted to ask you this: what would it mean to you? What would it look like for you if you learned the join the dots way to develop your own property and create your very own automatic property acquisition machine? If you become a developer, make real money, you get a better lifestyle, or you live by design, basically. Satisfaction and fulfillment that you've been looking for, or drive the car you like, or sail the boat that you always wanted. What would it look like for you? What would the life be for you? Now, you are at the computer watching this webinar. You've heard how this works, and you know that using property development system can be a great way to create your very own automatic property acquisition machine. And that's why I created the property development system in the first place. So if you're someone who really can benefit from creating your very own automatic property acquisition machine, you might be wondering, how can you implement and execute the property development system I just showed you quickly and easily? And the fastest way to get started and get the best results in the shortest amount of time with my support is this 12-week mentoring program that I have created for you. Surely everybody knows the value of creating their APAM. All astute investors have one. That's why you are smart to make the commitment today to learning and mastering the property development system to create your own APAM. And all I need is just 2 hours of your time, and give me just 12 weeks of your time. That's 2 hours, almost an hour and a half to 2 hours session for a 12-week period, and I'll give you everything that you need to go beyond replacing your income and creating your own APAM and preparing for retirement and basically designing the life you always wanted as a property developer or investor. So this program is basically a 12-week program, and every week we have classes. Every Wednesday night from 7 p.m. onwards, there's a class that will last from between 1.5 hours to about 2 hours. And we keep going that for 12 weeks, where I deliver the course online live, answering and question and making you aware of all these different strategies that you are not aware of at this stage. So, okay, listen. I'm not going to get all hyped up and try to get you all hyped up about what this is and how this can help you. You've listened to me, you've seen my APAM in action, and you know what I'm saying can help you. So what I want to do is I just want to go over exactly what is in the 12-week group mentoring class and how it can help you. If it is right for you, then I want you to get it. If it's not right for you, I don't want you to get it. I'm going to do this without fanfare, and I'm going to do this without any hype. So here's what it is. This live 12-week mentoring program, where I literally break down the complete 35.9 million property development system, and I walk you through on how to adapt it in your life to create your very own automatic property acquisition machine, step by step. It's not about, here you go, pay me money, sit through the seminar and take my manual, go home and then go do it on your own. I know how that feels. I've been in your shoes. I have been to all major seminars and they did really zero to help me get here. It's like learning to drive a car for the first time. Let's say you want to learn to drive a car on your own, and there are 3 ways I could help you achieve that. 1, I could drive you around so there is no stress on you. 2nd, I could drive with you by sitting right next to you. Or I could throw a manual at you and say, hey mate, it's all about taking action. So go read the manual, it's all in there. Now, which one would you prefer? So this section, this whole program is about me sitting right next to you for 12 weeks and helping you get your head around the entire system and get an understanding of how everything works and how everything operates. So, but there's a warning that comes with it. This live 12-week group mentoring experience is like no other. It's got practical exercises, real life examples and bonuses. So please make sure that you watch the rest of this video in its entirety, or you will miss out on the value you are about to get from the property development system. So in week 1 to 3 of this inciting program, basically we are going to discover everything. So from the first 1 to 3 weeks, it's all about what constitute lucrative projects, where to look for such projects, exactly how to find them, and precisely how to stack them, all done step by step. So I cover the full Delta system in it, and you'll be doing this by using a simple steps to follow. So in week 4, the topic for this week would be topic for week 4 would be about development finance. I want to show you exactly how it works and differs from retail to commercial to construction and then back to retail. Exactly what to look for from all the options available to you, precisely what the lenders are looking for, and how you can wow them from the very onset. How you can orchestrate a favorable valuation, and you'll do this by first understanding all elements and then stringently following a series of checklists, which are all unique to property development system. In week 5, we talk about site acquisition, and we'll dive into various types of financial structures with their pros and cons, the exact structures that I use for my development and why I use them, how these structures help me optimize my tax liability and protect my assets, and the tactics and strategies that I have personally tried and tested to negotiate with agents and vendors alike. That question you can ask your accountant to get advice for your personal situation. But in week 5, we also cover my negotiate for advantage system. Now, I've got this thing here, and if you see the date, it's very close to current 30th of June. This is one of the 3 contracts that I've got lined up for next week. I had already made an offer at 1.3 mil, and the offer was accepted. My numbers did work on that, but then I pulled out a negotiation tactic from my negotiate for advantage system, and I basically spun it in a way that I managed to get $20,000 off the already agreed contract price, already the price that has already been signed off on. The contract's already signed, everything's already done. So if you read this, I've taken out all the details that identify what side it is or what lawyer was involved in this. But if you read it, we refer to a letter dated 28th of June 2017 addressed to the selling agent, which has been on-forwarded to our client. Our client has considered the content of same and instructs as follows. Your client was well aware, blah, 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 The only reason your client was successful in securing the contract was due to offering a higher price. So I did offer a higher price, and hence our client is not happy that your client is now seeking a price reduction. Now, based on the calculation, blah blah blah, they did some calculation. They came back and said, that's the price. But whilst our client doesn't agree with your client's points and request in principle, she's prepared to reduce the price to 1281,291, blah blah blah. That's about 19,700 or 19,500, something like that. So it's about $20,000 that I shaved off the contract price, just like that. Just like that. It's just one strategy. If you didn't get anything and you got this one strategy and you tried it, and every time you purchase property, you will make money. You will save money, and so money saved is money made, basically. So in week 6 we get into obtaining permits. You will discover everything that you need to do to expedite your town planning or DA and prepare for your building permit or BA. Optimize and gain time at every step of the way, and this process can be daunting and every time and time consuming. You'll first understand the process. You learn exactly what's required at each step and why, and how you can prep in advance for everything to optimize this process. And I'll give you every checklist that I personally use in property development system. Again, you will never find this in any other training. Week 7, marketing and pre-sales. You will discover in detail the various marketing channels available to you today, pros and cons of each one of them, what strategies to use to market various types of developments, and everything you need to have in place to get your pre-sales in the shortest amount of time. In week 8 and 9, we dive into construction and getting all the titles, making sure that we've lined up all our ducks to have them ready when the construction's complete, because every day at that time is costing you money. Like every day is costing you 500, 600, 700, depending upon the size of your construction loan. It's actually costing you money every day. So week 10 to 12, we bring everything together. The whole point of this thing is that towards the end of the training in 12 weeks time, you put together a project report on a real life project, on a real deal with real numbers, real research. Everything that you've learned in the weeks leading up to the last 2 weeks, you actually go and apply. And that project report is actually a requirement of the course that you got to submit it, and it will be discussed with all the students who are actually in the course. And at the end of 12-week period, basically, I want you to have the following expertise. You should have all these. If you've been doing the work and following along with me every week, this is what you should have, research, and you should be able to research and find lucrative projects yourself, execute and manage the development to its fruitful completion, put together a project report based on facts and market research and present it as a business case to your investors with confidence. You'll also be, as part of your course, present your own strategy moving forward. So you're finishing the course towards the end of it, but you got to tell me and tell other students who are in there with you, got to show your action plan to start creating your APAM. And you will be clear, confident, and competent about your own APAM strategy and the projects you will be pursuing. So the delivery format, just hang on one second, I'm going to take a sip of this coffee because my throat's drying up again. There are core units that you got to understand that tell you basically the new rules of property development that are delivered, and they are done every Wednesday evening from 7 p.m. onwards Melbourne time. Don't worry if you miss something; they're all available for you to watch and go through in your own time. And in addition to all of that, I have 6 more tutorials, in the sense that every fortnight on a Thursday night we get together, and whatever you've learned in the last 2 weeks, we discuss it. So for example, I taught you something, and then you go back and in the real world and you start applying all of that, and you hit a snag and you hit a wall and you say, Amber, what you told me doesn't work, and I'll tell you why it doesn't work, or what would work if for whatever reason it didn't work. So all students come back every fortnight, and whatever they've learned in the last 2 classes, they've got to show what they've been doing and what they've been looking at. So it's an interactive session. So what we do is we put you together in a closed group, and in the closed group you can interact with other students, you can ask questions, post comments. I'll be there posting comments on it, and posting videos, anything that you want to share with the rest of the students as well. So it's all together, there are about 18 live classes over the 12 weeks. Now, here's what I want you to do next. Naturally, if you stick with me for just the 12 weeks, you'll see amazing results in your life. And that's why you should invest in property development system right now. So if you check out John Newen, who did the course with me, this is going back in 2015. He did my course, and the course has evolved since that time. In September 2016, he sent me this email because he's already done the course. So I've just highlighted some of the portions from this email. I went back and looked up the date when I first logged into the online course, and it was 16th of October 2015 when I signed up. I was determined to give it my all. I was not going to let anything stand in my way to success. Today is 8/9/16. In less than 11 months, I have secured 2 development sites. We are a week or 2 away from receiving DA on our first, and the second I exchanged contracts this morning. These 2 projects will yield me a combined profit of 2.2 million at over 32% margin. Now, these are honestly conservative numbers. They can only go up. All of this in the Sydney market, where land prices are skyrocketing and with no sign of stopping. So the development sites are fantastic and meet all the criteria that you insist upon, so I have no doubt they will still sell well, even if the market softens. Now, this is the kind of confidence that I get from my property development system, because when I've got all this hard work and my life savings into a project, I need to make sure that I have ticked every box. I've looked at everything possible, everything there is to look at for me to be able to get into a project and make sure that it finishes on time. So and it says, I'm not an expert on the workings of this universe, but something led me to you and your system, and now there is no looking back. I have to thank you for changing my life forever, and hope we cross paths sometime again soon. So this is John Newen from Sydney, who did the course about a year ago, and this guy was a go-getter. He went and did everything on his own, basically. Now, this is Bridget Carroll who sent me this message. I love your honesty and the depth of knowledge you have shown. I have to say I'm impressed with everything you have presented so far. I love your honesty and the depth. Sorry, I just read it twice. I look forward to your guidance and experience as we move into a totally new business for us. Thank you. This is Jason Grossman, who said, Amber, I'm looking through the course material, and after originally being skeptical of what you promise, as I've been to and paid for other property investment material, I'm suitably impressed. Keep up the good work, and so on. So that's not it. There's a lot of bonuses that come with the course, and when you sign up today, and I'm actually going to give you those bonuses. They're valued at about $25,000. The bonus number 1 is that the Ready Set introspection mindset training, where I actually went overseas to do this, spent 10 days on air travel and boarding and lodging overseas to be able to do this. And I discussed that in the initial weeks, because if you haven't got your head right, it won't. You at some point in time you will start giving up. So I actually go through all of this to make sure that I give you that extra bit that you need to achieve your goals. Bonus 2, property development system online video training. So there's, apart from me delivering everything online and you getting a recording of it as well, what you also get is an online course that you can access and go back to whenever you want. So there's an online videos that are all laid out in modules that you can follow step by step. Bonus 3, you get unlimited email support and also a group discussion where you can post stuff in the group, and I'll be there to answer all the groups so all students can see to it. Bonus 4 is the Negotiate for Advantage negotiation system that I've just showed you. I've just given you a proof that I used one of the tactics from it and shaved off 20 grand from the contract price after the contract was signed. So how good is that? And it's a mix of negotiation strategy, psychology, and other tactics. Not like a full-on negotiation course, but what I've done is I've broken the whole process down into different levers, and I explain you how to use these levers when you are negotiating. I also give you 2 one-on-one coaching sessions, and those coaching sessions are just you and me, nobody else. And you got to have your first session with me one-on-one within the first 4 weeks, and the second session anytime after you've completed the 12-week course leading up to the next 12 months basically. So if you've done something and you go out and start doing your project and everything, you got one more one-on-one session with me, that if you get into a project, you're trying to put a no money down deal together and you're stuck somewhere and you need to discuss the project with me. This has no time limit, by the way. So in the sense that the call, that one-on-one session call, could be 10 minutes if you wanted to, or could be an hour, or could be an hour and a half if you wanted to. That's no problem. So my concern is more that you get the most value from this call. Bonus 6, you get access to the Smart Feasibility Calculator. I like to call it the 2-minute Feaso. And I've got two different applications for financial feasibility. One is a full-scale application, and the other one is a 2-minute one, where you need to understand the 2-minute one first, so that you understand the broad concept and you can start vetting deals. And once you come across something that, look, it looks good, then you move on and do the detailed feasibility on the same project. And this is the bonus number 7, is the full-scale financial feasibility that you get with the course. You get unlimited networking with other developers. So all the students who come and sign up for the course, they will get into a group and you can network with each other. You'll be able to exchange phone numbers. My idea for you guys facilitating your networking is that towards the end of it, everybody would be presenting their own project report, and that project report would be an actual real-life project. So if 4 of you want to come together and do a project that's the best among everything that's being presented, by all means, go and do it, and I'll help facilitate it. So yeah, bonus number 9 is a certificate of completion. You get a certificate of completion signed by me as a certificate for property development system. And you get access to all the online resources that I use for free, and where I dig which kind of information in order to make a better decision. So bonus 11, you basically then qualify to do a one-on-one mentoring with me. Now this is group mentoring, and there's also one-on-one mentoring. Now I don't take anybody on board for one-on-one mentoring unless they've now done this course. The reason is that we have to be on the same page when you start talking about different projects. Just throwing money and saying, look, I just need you as one-on-one doesn't work with me, because I might not like you, you might not like me, and plus, if you don't understand the full excuse me, if you don't understand the full process, what is the point of having me? Because I'll be talking in French and you won't be understanding it. So you got to understand all of this, because when I say, have you looked at this, and this, you know exactly what I'm talking about, rather than when you do a one-on-one mentoring and you say, and I say, have you done this, and this, and you say, what does that mean? What does that mean? And then it's again, I've got to explain you all of that all over again. So that won't work. So this is basically a qualification if you wanted to do one-on-one mentoring. You might choose not to, and I've got no issues with that, no problem whatsoever. So you get the exact property development system that I've used to create my automatic property acquisition machine, where I've turned over $35.9 million worth of project. The complete system, it's delivered over the 12-week period. It's 12 into 2. Our live group mentoring class happens every Wednesday. It's got real life examples and case studies of the projects that I'm doing now, and the projects that I've done in the past, and what were the things that I came across in every project, and what are the things that I'm coming across in my current projects. So 6 into live online tutorials, which is basically student discussion. You are going back, implementing everything that you are learning every fortnight. Every fortnight you got to go back, do something, come back and say, look, I've done that. You get feedback, you get real life deal hunting in that, and all the bonuses that I talked about just then, which is a whole lot of bonuses. I wish I had them. Now that's about $25,000 of value in free bonuses alone, excluding the invaluable opportunities that you will create along the way. Now you remember the 3 secrets I promised? Here they are. First, control at least one of the 3 assets. Number 1, land. Basically, if you control the land, then your task is driven by supply. That is, you have a site that's looking for a use. That means you've already got the land and it's looking for some use on it. Control the knowledge, which is task is driven by demand. That is, you have the brains that is know how to use a site, and you are you know how to use a site, but you are actually looking for a site. And number three, if you control the capital, then you have a choice. In my scenario, I had a bit of this, just a bit, not too much, and I basically went for knowledge to control it. So that's secret number one. If you control any of these three things, your tasks and your job actually starts becoming easier. If you control more than one of them, it actually becomes a lot easier. So secret number two is get your numbers right and track them like a hawk. I can't stress this enough. Get your numbers, recheck your numbers, then recheck your numbers, then recheck the rechecked numbers once again. And you track them every week. Every week you track them. And secret number three, you follow the system to the letter. You don't jump hoops. You don't cut corners. You basically you basically have to follow the system and not take any shortcuts. So, do you want to bring these secrets to your life and in your own property development projects? And would you like my help to implement this system and create your own automatic property acquisition machine? So let's recap on what you could churn out using this information. And I've churned out about $40 million worth of projects in from 2013 to 2017. And that has given me an available equity of 615 based on 70% LVR. So let's look at what you pay at other property seminars. So what do you think other seminars cost you? I can give you an example. I've been to all these seminars. They cost at least $6,000 for a 3-day program. And then it's see you later. There's no system, no support after the first 3 days, and the boot camp, so-called boot camp, gives you a boot and never want to see you again. So 12 months of mentoring. If you sign up with another mentor for 12 months, it's you get you are out of pocket at least 25 to 35 because I have spent that kind of money. Where your mentor really can't care less about you. I had one mentor, he never called me, took all my money, never ever called me. His thing was, oh, you never called me. Oh, okay. How do you sleep at night? So no financial feasibility application and no real life skills, nothing in these boot camps. Basically, you go into the boot camp, come back, you are basically the same person. And what will you pay a project manager? Let's say you wanted to go this route and you wanted to say, okay, I want to hire a project manager to do my project. Yeah, no problem. The project manager knows everything, but the industry rate is around 5 to 7% of construction costs. And the smaller the project, the higher the project management costs because their time is the same. And a small two townhouse development, the cost of construction will be at least 500K. 5% of that is about 25,000. And in my opinion, for a smaller project, that is the most expensive path of all. So even the smallest, and if you compare this with some real numbers, and even the smallest two townhouse development can net you at least $80,000. And just 2 into part-time projects a year could see you bringing in an extra $160,000 a year. And the dollar investment that you need to make in this course is very tiny compared to the profits you could make as a developer. Here's what you're going to get. Again, live mentoring modules, module 1 to 12, you'll get 6 into live online courses, feedback session, you get a profit making system to do it, you get all the bonuses, all the online video modules, and the project manager 25K. Is that what you're going to spend? No. 12 months of mentoring, which is another 25K, none of that. So basically, the course is a small investment of $2,499 today, plus 4 easy monthly installments of $1,249. It's a 12-week course. It's got 18 classes. It's got a lot of time that goes into the course. But that's $2,499 today, plus 4 monthly installments of $1,249. But it gets actually better. The first 10 students who sign up today can get started with only $2,299 today, plus 5 monthly installments of $939, and you save about $503. Or you can save an additional $1,500 by making one payment of $5,999. But it still gets better. There is a 30-day money-back guarantee. If by the end of 30 days after you sign up, you decide it's not for you, No problem. Simply let me know and I'll give you a full refund. There are no wiggle clauses, there are no shenanigans, nothing. But there's another guarantee, because as you know, I can put my money where my mouth is, which is that's why I offer a double guarantee. This double guarantee is a 12 plus 1 13-week money back guarantee. So basically you sit with me and do the full course. You fulfill the requirements of the course. You do all the work I ask you to. You attend all the classes and give your 200%. Your 200%, I've got to take it. This is a double guarantee. If you are serious, I am super serious. And if you're genuine and you want to make a change and really take the action right now, I'm there with you all throughout the 12-week period. However, if for whatever reason at the end of 12 weeks you've done the course with me, you gave your 100%, you fulfilled all the requirements of the course and everything, and you could honestly say that you didn't learn anything, simply ask for a refund within 7 days of finishing the program. It's as simple as that. Now, so if you're ready to take control and go beyond replacing your income, creating your own automatic property acquisition machine, prepare for retirement, design the life you've always wanted as a property developer or investor, and learn the exact property development system that made me over $1 million in equity and cash, including a no money down deal that put $273,000 in my pocket, you got to click the sign up button now to get started. Now you got to hurry, because I'm only taking 20 seats, 20 students. And I already have pre-filled some of the seats. Some of my students that I've offered them to do this course, they're already in there. They've already taken up the offer. And remember that the first 10 applicants from this webinar will save about $503. You get $25,646 worth of bonuses for free, and you are backed by my can't lose double guarantees. So if you've got any questions and you're still not sure, you can request a consultation with me. I'd love to have a chat. It's all in my email signatures. It's called Let's Have a Chat. Click on it, book a time with me, and we can discuss any details that you want to discuss about this program if you're still not clear. You can click the book free consultation button as well. And remember, life is what you make it. Take action now before the daily humdrum of life gets in the way. Choose an option to get started. Click the sign up button. Book a free consultation. Don't delay. This is already filling up fast. And thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I look forward to helping you create your very own automatic property acquisition machine. Before I leave, there's another quote that I live by. I have always lived by it. You don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. It's by Zig Ziglar. All the best.